So, you ready? We all ready for this?
Yeah.
Hello.
Recording.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, Trish.
Hello.
Hello. Now, this is a very different interview to ex-members, because you are in fact more of a volunteer than a performer on stage, are you not?
Oh yes, most definitely.
So, how did you join, and when did you join?
Right. Well, Siobhan joined in 2003, and I sort of got roped along sort of after that, really. Did a little bit of stuff in 2003, not much, but then I helped with the Crucible. Siobhan was doing the costumes for the Crucible, and so, Mum, what can I have? So wardrobes were raided, etc., and that was my first sort of insight into SIYT, really. And then in 2005, which was when the Crucible was actually performed. So 2004 she joined. 2005 was when the Crucible was actually performed, and then also Korjak, and I volunteered to help with front of house Korjak. And then was sort of told by the then said director, "Oh, well, you can head up costumes," and I'm like, "Oh, can I? Oh, all right."
Yeah.
So that the rest, they say, is history. So that was sort of 2005 was when I really sort of started, really, I suppose. I think I sort of found my feet relatively quickly. With regards to sort of crowd control with kids. But I mean, same thing, I just gave it my all. I mean, I researched, always, costumes and stuff like that, always research. I was very much, I shaved Richard Greattrex his hair off.
Not the first time.
Well, exactly.
Or that was the first time, actually,
Michael
I suppose.
Hudson might think he was the first,
Yeah.
but actually he wasn't.
Yeah.
Richard got there first. So that was so I shaved his head off. Shaved his hair off, I should say, not his head. But I mean, that was fine. That wasn't an issue. But yeah, I mean, I think from day one, I really did. I so enjoyed it that I just dived in there and just shouted a lot and all the rest of it. But I loved doing the costumes. I mean, it was just brilliant. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. It was just really good. Difficult sometimes, very low budgets. So it was a case of beg, borrow and steal, and generally raid my wardrobe. I mean, I remember friends coming to see Korjak, and in Korjak there was a sort of a nightclub scene. And one of my friends said, "Did I recognise all the long dresses?" And I went, "Yeah, you did. They were all mine." And I literally sort of raided my wardrobe and just sort of, because again, we didn't have a lot of money, so it was always a beg, borrow, and steal sort of scenario. But yeah, it was good.
Amazing.
I love
and
that.
I mean, 2005 was the first time we went to the Fringe with Korjak. That was epic. On so many levels. I mean, we stayed at Seaton Sands, so all the kids were in caravans. I had a caravan full of girls, as well as sort of doing the costumes. And I mean, I think the first time at the Fringe, you just turned into everything. You were like sort of you anything that came up that needed doing, you just got on and did, because we were all the volunteers, all the adults, we were all finding our feet, really, because it was the first time any of us had been to the Fringe. But it was good fun. I mean, doing the boys' hair on the top of a double-decker bus going into Edinburgh. Right, come and sit here while I squirt you with water. I'm just going to do a side parting now. Sit still. Sit still. The usual stuff, just really good fun. But one of the things that happened at Seaton Sands, because there were so many of us, because we had a full orchestra as well, massive cast, because we had a couple of little ones as well. They had to put on extra buses, because the rest of the people at Seaton Sands would go to get on a bus into Edinburgh, and we'd already filled it.
Right,
so they had to, so that was quite funny. Yeah, that was good.
No wonder we got a reputation just from that moment.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely.
Can you pin down a favourite show?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I've written a few things down. I mean, I suppose favourite shows. Oh, I don't know. Probably Vision. I loved the music in Vision. So I think from Vision, I would take the music, and also the freedom of, I mean, personally, I prefer doing costume pieces, and Vision wasn't a costume piece, but it was good fun because I could make the clothes as wacky and as wild as I wanted to. So that was, you know, that was good fun. But yeah, I don't know really. I sort of, I mean, costume-wise, my favourite show, probably The Bubble, because that was the very first time that I was able to go. That was the first time that I got in contact with Lynn Quelch at Cambridge Drama Wardrobe, and I was lucky enough to hit it off with her. And she would just let me go in there and way before the show would start and just get masses of costumes. And a lot of those costumes in The Bubble were period costumes. And that was my first time and I got wigs from the BBC as well for,
Brilliant.
Who did I get wigs for? Billy Swales and Jonathan Barnes. I mean, nobody recognised them because their wigs were sort of King Charles wigs. They were massive, they were huge. And I got some sort of white, I can't think what they're called now, the white wigs where they sort of tied back. There's a name for them anyway. But that was really good fun. I enjoyed that. So much really. I mean, Midsummer Night's Dream, the fairies, Peter's flip-flops, you know, what can I say? I mean, that was an amazing sort of, but then in Midsummer Night's Dream, I was able to dress the stage a bit as well. So that was another little sort of, you know, sort of sidekick and what have you. So yeah, I loved it all. I mean, I can't pinpoint one. There's bits from each show that I can take. And as you know, I do like to recycle costumes. Yes. So there are still costumes that I used in Courgette that still get used. If I try and use something in each show from another show, sort of, you know, keep it all moving and keep.
It's like a nice Easter egg because I remember having like I wore the same vest top about 3 times.
Absolutely,
I know. During Legally Blonde, I said to Marcus because he had the vest top I wore in Midsummer, and I was like, that top's been around a while. And then you said to me that it had been one of the ones in Courgette as well, or something like that. So like, and I was like, I was the OG wearer of that, and you were like, no, you weren't, Pete. It was it was someone else from whatever production it was.
So on the flip side, in a way, not saying like the worst show, but what was the toughest show that you worked on?
Toughest show? Probably Brother Jacques, in a way, because I, per usual, I've given myself a massive amount of work to do with regards to hair. I made all the boys grow their hair so that I could make it, you know, for that period. All the girls had the only way I can describe it as Jane Austen hair, ringlets, curls, all the rest of it. But I did manage to get help from Huntingdon College, about sort of 4 ladies, I think, sort of who were doing hairdressing, came and helped me. But even so, I was still supervising it all and then trying to do all the costumes as well. I mean, I had help, obviously, because Sue Newman used to help me. But it was, me being me, I wouldn't say I'm a control freak, but with something like that, I feel that it was my responsibility to make sure that when it got on stage, it looked good. Because that, to me, is so important, the visual aspect of the show, and to make it so that you lot look good, feel good, and then when the audience looks at it, it you know, encompasses the whole thing. I think the visual thing is as important as anything else, I think, personally.
Absolutely, I 100% agree. You know, a show is, you know, so often in rehearsals you think, oh, you know, this it's looking good, but it's missing that, like, the spark that kind of, and it's things like, you know, the lighting, the atmosphere of the room, but then the costumes, the hair, the actual when the kids, you know, I know for myself as well, but there's always that shift as soon as they get into their costumes and they get their hair done, their characters come alive.
I'm glad you mentioned Brother Jacques because that was my first experience of you, Trish, because that was my first show. And then not just from there, you've had a reputation for a while, haven't you, as someone who's quite scary. Does that give you power?
No,
how is that?
I think, I mean, I'm very. I think sometimes what the kids don't realise when I'm shouting and screaming at them and all the rest of it, which I do frequently, well, not so much now. But I'm trying to make. I want them to have a good experience. I want them to enjoy it. But to enjoy it, they have to realise they've got to be someone's got to be in control of them. Otherwise, it would just all go up. So occasionally, yes, I would be very sort of cross and angry with certain people. The crazy thing is when the old members come back and help, and they go, "Well, as bad as that?" And I'm going, "Yeah, actually, you were worse." So it's they know who they are if they hear this. But the thing is, they still come back. So therefore, I couldn't have been that bad or that scary. I don't know. Perhaps I was, but no. I mean, I didn't set out to be scary. I just, I think I just. I don't know, just wanted to sort of keep a tight rein on everything, especially initially, because I'd had no previous experience. And I was just terrified that Korjak, I swear, I spent my whole life running up and down the Burgess Hall. Every time anybody saw me, I was legging it from one end to the other, because that was when we had boys at one end and girls at the other end. And so I was continually just sort of, I mean, fit as, just really good. But first time Martin McGarry met me was in Korjak, and I was telling someone how they should be hanging their costume up, and he said, "Oh, hello." He sort of introduced himself. He said, "Oh, so you're a teacher?" I went, "No, I'm a hairdresser."
I tell you what, like I think part of what it is, it says. I mean, there is like a generalization of the costume designers and that being quite sharp, but I think it's because whereas the director of the show is often more like explore, feel free, and like do all this and kind of go crazy and like well, not always like that, but often it's more about like making them be bigger, and your job is actually to go, I need to refine the costume and to make sure it looks right, because there is only there's a right way you can look and there's a wrong way you can look, and it is very like black and white in that respect.
Whereas, I mean, with Legally Blonde, with Sam, I mean, I remember when I turned up with those massive pink boots for Sissy to wear, and you were looking and you think, she can't wear those. I thought, she's got to wear them. They're iconic to the actual show. And I said to Sissy, I said, "Have you got a dance?" She went, "Yeah." I went, "Right, okay, well, can you come off stage?" And she's like, "Well, yeah, I think so." I said, "Right, well, we need to work on this. You need to strut on with your boots. You need to come round. I'll be there." And she had my pink trainers, because I just happened to have pink trainers. She was the same size feet as me. Oh, was useful.
One of my first memories of you, I think, was you having a go at Charlie Lake. I can't remember what he'd done. He must
Has he lost his white trousers? Because I swear to God, in Brother Jack, we went through a couple of nights where the guys would be coming up to me just before they were getting ready. "I can't find my white trousers." And I thought, were they there last night? Did you hang them up? Well, yes. And then I discovered what happened. I think because they were using the back, I think the rail kept getting moved, and obviously the rail getting moved was because I obviously I didn't go up to the boys' changing rooms while they were getting sort of changed or anything, and I used to check the rail at the end of the night, or I used to get in fact I used to make them line up after that. Right, where's your costume? Yeah, I think I threatened that he had to go on in his pants if he couldn't find his white trousers.
That was the one.
However, he found his white trousers.
I bet.
That's where it kept me alive, Trish. Like, I don't think I've ever folded my clothes neater.
The very first person that I had a slight altercation with was in Korjak, and it was actually Sam Dry. It was Joe's elder brother. And Sam said he'd hung his suit up, and I was like, it was a proper three-piece suit, okay? No messing about. No sort of stuff that you'd buy online. A proper three-piece suit. And it was on the hanger. That's all I can say. It was on the hanger. But, nothing was folded or anything. So I said, "Get back here and sort that out." And of course, and then afterwards I thought, "Oh God, it's Tim's son." And Tim arrived as I was going at him. And so afterwards, when Sam cleared up, and I said to Tim, "I'm really sorry about that." And Tim said, he said, "If you hadn't told him, I would have told him." So it's fine. It's okay. It's all right. It's all good. It's all good.
It's all done from a place of love, of both of costume and for the kids, because
the best.
yeah.
I mean, I just absolutely absolutely want you all to go on looking the best. And if someone comes up to me and says, I really can't move in this, or I can't, okay, fine, we'll sort it. But don't come up to me and go, this is too tight. And I look at it and I think, no, it's not actually. Move on.
Yeah.
You know, I won't. You know what I'm like. I won't pander to someone saying, oh, I can't do this. Well, actually.
Yeah. No matter how many times you say you can't walk in flip flops, it doesn't matter.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. But I'm going to trip up. Well, it could be funny then, won't it?
I've got to do a dance, Trish, and I can't walk in flip flops. But you've done some incredible hair for youth, you know, organised some incredible hairstyles for youth across all the, you know, Midsummer is a particular one where like the hair was just incredible for the fairies, for Bradley.
I went wild with that.
I mean that was incredible.
I mean, I loved the costumes with that because every time I did something, I mean, Sue Newman used to go mental at me because she'd go, so what have you decided you're doing this time that's going to absolutely wreck everything and all the rest of it? So, I mean, the wings, and I'm trying to think who it was. I can't remember. One of the fairies, because I got massive wings. They were huge. And then decorated them to within an inch of their lives. And one of the fairies, I think it might have been Claire Tevlin. I can't remember who it was. She said, well, how are we going to kneel down? So I just looked at her and I went, very carefully.
Yeah.
Again, I love Lily's dress because I made that. I used a basis of a dress and I swathed it all with foil and beads, and I just loved it. And a crown I made, and then I tied in the voile with not Lysander, Oberon's cape that I had, and sort of frills everywhere and all the rest of it. So yeah, I mean, every time I would love to have been able to make all the costumes, but I mean, forget it.
Yeah.
You know, okay, give me 6 years for a production, and we'll be all right. But every time we did a production, I would try and do something. Even Korjak, I didn't actually make anything, but of course it was wartime, so I thought, what the hell am I going to do with all the girls' hair? That would be headscarves then. So they all had headscarves.
We talked about the shaving the heads, and just other things to think about, you know, like dyeing my hair black. I'm sure you've dyed many different, and dyeing Georgia's hair, you know, blonde, and I'm sure there's been lots of those different things across the years. Is there any other ones you can kind of think of where you've done any sort of crazy hairstyles?
Tyler. So we did a double thing one year for, I can't remember what year it was, I shall tell you in a moment, just bear with me, I've got my list here somewhere. It was Fairy Tale Heart and Sparkle Shark, and Tyler played Shane, and I can't remember exactly what happened, but he was because all the kids were helping to do the set and all the rest of it, and he did something that I wasn't amused with, so. And he wanted his hair doing, so I said, yeah. So I gave him a Mohican. He didn't speak to me for weeks. Bugsy as well. I mean, I had a few sleepless nights until I worked out what I could do with all the girls' long hair to make it look 1920s. And then I discovered headbands. And at that point, Tony and Leanne joined me because Sue, I think that was one of Sue's last shows. And Tony and Leanne came on board to help. And Tony's brilliant at doing hair, so that was great. And Tony's very much like me; she'll yell at everybody. Leanne was the calmer one. So if something went wrong, they generally go to Leanne and say, you know, whatever. So it was. So they were brilliant to work with, and also members when it first kicked off, both of them, both Tony and Leanne.
It's shown with like a few members obviously come back to help out with you. A few members have gone on to do costume at uni and stuff like that, and so people literally, youth has been able to give that experience, and I don't think at the time people sort of realise that, especially when you're younger, you've just been told to put on this costume.
Oh no, you don't. Absolutely.
And I think when you become a volunteer, when you become like the sort of behind the scenes sort of thing, you realise how massive like the likes of you are in YouFit to keep it running as well.
Well, I don't know about massive, and there's a lot of other people around that did just as much, if not more.
But that's the thing, it's like the amount of people that come together to put on these shows.
It is, it's vast.
And it's needed.
Oh, it is needed, and I think it's obviously you have to be able to give the time, but what you get back, the rewards you get back, are phenomenal.
Particularly when it's show week, yes, it's unbelievably stressful, but for some reason, like, you kind of have this sort of bubble feeling, like the world kind of becomes this bubble that kind of almost entirely rotates around. Fair enough, you might have to go to work, you know, some of the days, but almost always like revolves around. You're always thinking about the show and what happens after. And then, you know, when the show finishes, that's why everyone gets this like huge, and volunteers too get this massive like post-show blues, because you know, you've had this huge adrenaline rush, and everything's heightened, and you build these amazing bonds, and you know, even as a volunteer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you do. I mean, it's phenomenal, and I think you get out of it as much as you put into it. And I mean, I've always, when I was sort of there, I put in, I reckon, probably about 200%.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's me, and that's how I you know, that's how I do stuff, really. But I mean, the fact that both my kids were in there, I mean, not that they liked the fact that I was there, I'm sure, and I gave them probably a harder time than anyone, because for me it was, well, you've got to be, not that they were goodies, but I felt that they had to sort of, you know, toe the line more than anybody else. But I mean, it's just, it made it easier for me, the fact that both the girls were in it.
Do you have any favourite moments?
Oh, so many. The Fringe. Every time we went to the Fringe, there were different sort of. What I want to say, when we took that to the Fringe, that was one of the easiest, because there was no costumes, was there?
Yeah.
Nothing. No costumes, no makeup, no hair. So it was, for me, it was like, you know, it was amazing, and I could really enjoy the sort of the lunchtime when we'd be sort of all sat around. And there's a photograph of me, you, and Tyler when we're all rocking. I mean, absolutely. And that was those guys with that band that was on the grass market, and that sort of stone circle, and they played Queen, and then all our lot would just. I think somebody thought it was a typical Fringe, just an impromptu performance, and it was brilliant. Bugsy, you know, the pie fight at the end, where you've all got your fingers on the triggers, you're all dead, and the splurge is still coming out. And all I'm thinking is, oh my God, I'm going to have to clean all these costumes afterwards. And there's one photograph somewhere, which for me is really iconic, and I mean, I was incredibly anal again with that. The girls had to have the buns on the one side and the hats on the other side. And I remember Tony was helping me with the hair. And I looked at her, I went, she's got a bun on the wrong side, Tony. Sorry! Quickly did it the other way. But there's one photograph of them all on stage, and they're all in full movement, and their skirts are flicking out, and it's just a brilliant photograph. It's just fabulous. It's just really, really good. I did enjoy Bugsy, just again for the costumes and everything, because it was just so much fun, and seeing you guys in all your suits and everything. It was just really good, and the dance and everything that you did, I just loved it so much.
I was saying to Sam actually yesterday that there was a costume change in Bugsy that I'd completely forgotten about. It's when, because obviously I died 3 times in Bugsy. Yeah. So I had the first one, obviously, was when the big thing. And then obviously I had the suit, you know, all our bad guys' suits and stuff. But then when me and Sam became down and outs after the bad guys had been killed, then we we had the down and outs, and then we had these like white like penguin suits, like, well, at least tops put on. So we were waiters in Fat Sam's bar, and I honestly, I saw this picture. I was scrolling through pictures to try and find some pictures from Bugsy. And I just completely forgotten that we even did that. Honestly, you know, there's another another costume.
Another costume. Well, Chloe Fegan-Webb in Bugsy, she was so many. I mean, she'll remember. She had so many different costume changes. It was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, it was crazy.
On that, who do you remember? Who has had the most costume changes?
I reckon. Oh well, hang on a minute. Legally Blonde.
Yeah. Thinking Sissy.
Do you think Sissy's had the most?
Well, Sissy. Well, I don't know, but Chloe in that. But the thing with Chloe, she wasn't only costume change; she was different characters.
Yeah.
So you know, So for that, I would say Chloe, but possibly Legally Blonde for actual total of costume. I can't remember how many costumes she had in the end. I just used to just go behind my little room, whether it was one side or the other, and just get on with it. So do you want to know how many shows I've
yeah.
So I started off, did a little bit with the Crucible. So Crucible, Korjak at the Fringe, Sparkle, Shart and Fairy Tale Heart, The Bubble, Brother Jacques, Vision at Stonyhurst. That was a good one. Romeo and Juliet, Tom Sawyer, Vision at the Edinburgh Fringe, Lord of the Flies and Bang Bang. It might be more than 31 actually. Wind in the Willows, Journey's End, Midsummer Night's Dream, Eam, Bugsy Malone, What I Want to Say But Never Will, We Lost Elijah and Shakers, We Lost Elijah in Northampton, Grease, What I Want to Say But Never Will at the Fringe, Much Ado About Nothing, which was 2013, and then after that was The Ragged Child in the summer, and then the following year we did Connections.
Yep.
And then in the summer we did Vision again, didn't we? We took it up to the Fringe.
Yeah.
So it's more than 31 actually.
Yeah.
It's more than 31.
Yeah.
Oh, and Legally Blonde. I'd forgotten
Legally
that.
Blonde.
And
Okay.
DNA and Dumb Waiter.
Oh God, yeah, I've forgotten about those as well. It's more than that. Probably about 35.
Yeah.
You don't know
Incredible.
I wonder I got grey hair.
Do you have any advice to any volunteers, either current volunteers like us or potential new volunteers?
I would say just, if you're going to volunteer, just do it, grab the bull by the horns, go full tilt, and just enjoy every moment of it. That's what I would say. And just don't hold back, really. Whatever you do, whatever part of youth theatre that you help with, just give it your all. It is good fun. It does take up time, but I think it's good to, from my point of view, I mean, both the girls were in it. So for me, because I stayed on obviously after the girls left for a while, but it's giving back. It's being able to sort of, I would just say, just do it. Even if you only try it for a year, you can't, it's a lovely thing to do. It really is. It's really good. And like I say, just enjoy it. Just go for it.
And the thing is, like you said that you've done 35, but you're potentially going to be doing 36, 37 next year, if all goes well.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping, definitely. I'm half a sixpence, costume-wise, yes. Because I can, that's just going to be such good fun.
Thank you for your service, Trish, and thank you for joining us today. It's obviously appreciated from all your time and effort in youth theatre, and obviously that's going to continue for a little bit longer.
I know, suck me back in.
As said, thank you very much, Trish, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you,
very much.
bye-bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.